Alright, I'm David Harry, and in this video I'm going to be showing what I consider to be the best small microphone vlogging setup for the GoPro Hero 7 Black. Okay, so the point of this video then is just to demonstrate what I think is the best setup for a small microphone system by combining a Comica CVM-VM10 MK2 with the deadcat of a Rode VideoMicro. Now before I go any further with this video, a massive shout out to my busy YouTube buddy who's Mr. Ian Craig. And you can get to Ian's channel with a link here. There'll be a link in the description and there'll be an overlay at the end. What it is, Ian recently sent me a whole bunch of stuff, really cool things for me to use on my channel and for me to do like modification videos and stuff. And right now I'm using two of the elements that Ian sent me, which is basically the microphone and the deadcat. Yeah, so massive thank you to Ian, and I would totally recommend going and visiting Ian's channel. He does really cool microphone audio stuff, and he's also a massive GoPro user as well. So any GoPro users out there, defo go and check out Ian's channel because he does tons of really cool stuff, and like I say, he uses a GoPro. Anyway, so what it is, straight off bat, this video is going to be quite long and very wordy. But that's only to give like a lot of examples and information. So what I would recommend is, yes, if you're a GoPro user, defo watch this video. Even if you don't like the results, it's probably going to be a good thing for you anyway, because if you don't like it, then you know something to avoid for your GoPro setup. So maybe what you might want to do is just pause right now, go and grab yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, then come back. Right, so what it is, for some time I've been trying to work out a number of options for a small vlogging rig, and that's between the Osmo Pocket and a GoPro, and in this instance it's the 7 Black. Now obviously this setup will also work for the 5 and the 6. Also the same microphone and whatnot will be exactly the same for the 3 and the 4, maybe the 2, I'm not too sure. The only difference being with the 3 and the 4, there'll be a slightly different sound because the 5, 6 and 7 use the same audio adapter and whatnot to get microphones in and what have you. So basically what it is, like I said, I've been kind of like, you know, pushing and pulling my setups quite a bit. So what I've settled on now for my GoPro rig is the Ulanzi V2K, which is awesome because it means you can slot in the audio adapter and keep it nice and neat. And then on top of that, what I've been doing is like, you know, working on a few combinations of microphones. So in this instance, like I said, this is the Comica CVM-VM10 MK2. And what I'm doing, I'm pairing it up with the deadcat of a Rode VideoMicro. Now right now, we're not hearing anything with a deadcat on. I don't need it indoors. If I was any closer, I might put a deadcat on to avoid plosives on the microphone. But what I'm going to do is go outdoors and show some real world examples of this system in use. Now also, just one thing to make perfectly clear here, the audio that you're going to hear all the way through this test has not been altered in any way from what was recorded with the GoPro. And all I'm going to do is in post-production, I'm just going to get the levels so they somewhat match each other a little bit, because as I go into different environments, the level of my voice will change, hence the level of the recordings will change. So all I'm going to do in post-production is just rebalance them, and then like that's it basically, nothing else. But what I will do, there'll also be a link, in fact right now a link will pop up here, be in the descriptions and whatnot, and it's going to go to another video which is going to be the same video that this is, but what I will do is alternate between a processed version and the original version as it sounds right now, and that's just to give people a further idea of, you know, what they can get away with as far as processing with these things are concerned. And in that video, I'll basically be just touching it with a slight bit of EQ and using LoudMax, which is a VST limiter plugin, which is compatible with, like, you know, most nearly anything that's VST compatible. Okay, so I think I've given a whole load of information here, which is probably everything that I need to explain about this test. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm basically just going to go outdoors and like go into 3 different types of setups and scenarios, test them for various things, which I will explain during the test. Alright, so for the first part of the outdoor test, what I'm going to do is just do a little bit of nattering to the camera whilst I'm by a busy road. Now, the whole point of doing this particular part of my testing is to see how well either a cardioid mic rejects from the rear, or just how a cardioid or an Omni in general picks me out against all the extra noise off the traffic and such. So obviously in this particular instance here, we're testing to see how well the microphone is rejecting the traffic noises from behind it and picking me up. So what I'll do shortly, I'm going to turn the mic into the traffic just so we can get an idea of the traffic, and then I'll talk behind it. So right now, I'm talking behind the microphone. You should have noticed the drop off with my dialogue. I'll turn it back round. Okay, just in case we couldn't hear what I was saying then, what we should have heard then is my dialogue drop right down and we were picking up the traffic more. Now that I've turned it back towards myself, we should be hearing me more and less of the traffic. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is go for a little leisurely walk down the bridle path into the park, and I'll do some recording on the bridle path. Okay, so I'm now on the bridle path, which is like the little route that I take to go to the top field in the park, because what it is, I'm actually out to test more stuff, hence the stupid big backpack on my back. I've brought out like another camera and some mics and stuff. What it is, I go to the top field in this particular park because it's quite wide and long, which allows me to do like distance testing, say for certain mics, say such as radio labs and stuff like that. But also it gives me a really good chance to do focus testing and testing for depth of field and things like that as well when I do like specific camera or lens related tests. Now what we should hear is, because this is nice and quiet and there's no reflections coming from this side, I should be like very, very clear, and probably not much else other than the gorgeous sounds of nature and these birds like singing away and talking to the friends and whatnot. But weirdly, and this is something that Ian noticed, that's Ian Craig, my YouTube benefactor who gave me the microphone and the deadcat and such. He noticed that when I was doing a test the other day, because there's a wall here, he was noticing reflections off the wall, because Ian's kind of got like, you know, superhuman hearing, a bit like a bat. I think from now on, I think I'll call Ian Batman. But yeah, what he noticed was that there was reflections coming off the wall. So now that I'm pointing the microphone this way, I'm just wondering as to whether or not we're going to pick up the reflections, because the microphone will pick up right in front of it, and obviously my voice will be reflecting off that wall. So what I'll do, I'll turn back around this way. I don't know, I mean, it's just a test while I was out, and if nobody else noticed it, I'm fairly sure Ian does. So Ian, this test is for you, buddy. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now is just carry on into the park, and I'll just try and find somewhere else which is maybe a little less obstructed with no wind and no extra noises, just so we can kind of get another gauge of how the microphone is sounding. So I'm now somewhere else in the park, like I say, one of the fields, which basically means that there's less chance of picking up reflections, and I just hope I haven't got coffee all down my face. I've chosen the absolute incorrect bottle to put the coffee in. I couldn't find a flask, so I put it in one of these plastic water bottles, and it's been going everywhere. Yeah, so basically where I am right now, there's less chance of reflections and such. So what we should really be hearing right now is kind of like all dialogue, as it were, and very little of anything else. Now, the thing is, unless you are either in an anechoic chamber or you're somewhere where there's absolutely no obstructions, like for a very long distance, the chances are any microphone, regardless of its polar characteristics, will pick up reflections from somewhere, even from the floor. Obviously, with the floor here, with it being grass and it's all very absorbent and very kind of like it diffracts all the sound waves because of all the blades of grass. Very much a similar process in part as to how some dead cats operate as well, with long strands and such. You just basically break down the energy of certain things such as wind. But when it comes to sound reflections, the same thing happens there. It helps to absorb and break down sound waves of varying frequencies and such. Anyway, let's not go there. I'm trying to keep this video as kind of short as I possibly can without rambling into stuff which people probably don't really want to know. Anyway, so yeah, because there's very few reflections except for that big wall over there, you know, this should sound fine. But what I'll do, I will turn around anyway, and then after I've done this little turn around, let's just see how clear I am, or how free of reflections we are with such a, you know, directional microphone. What I'm going to do now is a cardioid pattern test. So I'm going to turn the microphone around and let's see how much I get, you know, I drop off by. So the microphone is now at 90 degrees to me. So it's off axis by 90 degrees. Now it's 180 degrees off axis, or basically pointing in the opposite direction. And now it's the other 90 degree axis, and then I'm going to turn it back around so it is fully on axis. So it's right now pointing straight at me, and this should be the best, you know, obviously this is the best direction for the microphone basically. But what we should have heard there as I was moving it around was distinct drop-offs with my voice, because the microphone does reject from the sides and from the rear. As to how much, we can gauge that by what I've just done. Now also, one last quick thing. Right in front of me over there is a busy road. It's some distance away, but you can hear the rumble of the traffic. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stay quiet, and I'm going to turn the microphone towards the traffic and then away from the traffic, and let's see if it's sensitive enough to pick up that rumble in the distance. Okay, so I think that fairly much concludes all the outdoor stuff now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back indoors, I'm going to listen to the footage, and I will do a summary and kind of like, you know, come to my conclusions at the end of the video. Okay, back indoors. Okay, so to a summary then, and I'll try and keep this as short as I can, but like I say, this video was all about rambling with information and maybe tech detail and stuff. What it is, there's a whole load of different microphones that you can plug into the GoPro, ranging from small mics, tiny mics, to big mics, and there's no doubt that there are better results to be had than what you've heard in this test. But what I've been doing here is very specifically testing for a short-bodied, what we would typically refer to now as a video mic. So yeah, the whole point of this was just for that type of an arrangement. I mean, as a for instance, this microphone here, which is what I use mostly for, like I use it for all my indoor pieces. I also use it for doing like recording other people, interview stuff, you know. I use it recording vloggy stuff outside. I'll also be doing a quick little demonstration of this with the 7 as well. But that microphone, as a for instance, is amazing with the 7 and sounds better than what this is. Let me just see if I can get that back up there without it falling over. Oh no, do you know what? I really ought to think these things through before I do them. Right, so basically a microphone like that is definitely going to be better than this on a number of levels. But like I say, very specifically, I've been testing for something which is small. Now, I'm a huge fan of the Rode VideoMicro, but there's certain tonal characteristics to do with maybe the bass response, which I think that the VM10 MK2 is better with. Also as well, I believe this is a super cardioid as well, as opposed to just a standard cardioid. and it does do a fair bit of rejecting, because as we will have heard from the stuff outdoors, you know, there's a fair bit of rejection of things going on there, and it's very, very good for that. Now, there is one slight downfall, I think, with this microphone, but I don't even know whether it's the mic or just its combination with the 7, or at least the 7's audio adapter, and it is a bit hissy. Now, that hiss, you know, it's something that I don't like. I've got to be dead honest. I don't like hiss in recordings, but the upshot is that you've got to look at the plus points, and for me the plus points is that it sounds great, the setup tonally. So yeah, I'll live with the hiss with that. But to be honest, outdoors you're so unlikely to hear the hiss because of all the other stuff that's going on around you. Whereas obviously right now, I mean, if I stay quiet for a few seconds, we're definitely hearing hiss there. I mean, the thing is, I've got a fridge going on in the other room, and it's a noisy fridge. It's also windy outdoors, so there's noises in the room as well. But this is typical of a living room, so you know, this will give you an idea of what this microphone and setup would be like indoors as well. So like I say, the downside for me is, or the only real downside, is hiss. And again, its tone, I think it's great. It's not brilliant. It's not as good as this mic. It's not as good as using a proper studio condenser right in front here, which I'll also be doing tests with. It's highly likely that I'm going to see if I can borrow my mate Hutchie's NT1A and have a crack at that with the GoPro 7 in a more of a podcasty type arrangement, in which case I have no doubt it's going to sound amazing. Yeah, so basically I think I've probably covered everything with all that there. But you know, like I say, this was all about just trying to find the most convenient thing. Now the other thing is, I do these what I call nano microphones. So there will have been links through the video to other stuff that I've done with the 7 with regard the nano microphones, which are very, very tiny mics. They're not quite as good as, say, something like this, but what they do is further reduce the physical arrangement and the physical size of your vlogging setup. Yeah, I think that's probably it, because if I carry on now, I really won't shut up. So anyway, the penultimate thing to say here is, once again, thank you to Mr. Ian Craig, who is now seriously my YouTube benefactor and sponsor. Again, I can't re-put his link up here because YouTube won't allow to put the same link up twice. So check the descriptions, head off to Ian's channel and check it out. I'll also have an overlay at the end for Ian's channel as well. Yeah, so basically that's it. If you've liked this video, check out me playlists, because I've got like a lot of stuff historically to do with action cams, microphones, video cameras, all kinds of boring stuff. Yeah, so if you're into all this kind of thing, check me playlists out, or just go through my video list and just start going backwards through it. There's a ton of stuff in there. I'm not saying you're gonna like it all, but you know, I'm fairly sure you'll find some of it of interest. Let's see, I think I'll probably have a GoPro 7 specific playlist at some point. Also, you may want to consider subscribing to my channel, giving the video a thumbs up, leave a comment, and just get all over that bell thing which tells you about future videos and all that kind of thing. Yes, I'm really running dry here, so I'm gonna go. Anyway, I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.